Arts and Cultural Center announces a call to artists for the Schaefer Portrait Challenge 2022. This statewide juried exhibition has been held every 3 years since 2003, encouraging artists who are residents of Hawaii to present the people of their island communities through explorations in portraiture. There are 2 substantial cash awards, the Juror's Choice Award for $15,000 and the Jean and Ruth Friedman People's Choice Award for $5,000. We'll take a look at 6 previous challenges to learn about the award-winning artists and their portrait sitters, and we'll hear some of our past jurors discuss criteria on what makes a great portrait.
In the sense of the Schaefer Portrait Challenge, it has a slightly in modern times, a slightly different approach, where we paint someone because we want to honor them. We want to, it shows our respect. And I think that's why people love coming to see and look at portraits, because in today's day, because it's building that connection between we the viewers and the sitter, and that intermediary, the artist who makes this all happen. Also, I mean, in this age of virtual reality, I still see there is nothing like the real. I think all the jurors were just like, kind of like taken aback by Hanai Uechimila's piece. It was like, oh, wow. It kind of had that, the part of it was the size. There was the physical presence of this, of standing in front of this piece and like, holy smoke, how is this possible? You sensed that it was, in its horizontal format, you sensed that he was moving in this darkened room, and he was coming from a dark area and moving this way. And you needed all of that length of that canvas in order to convey the sort of proper mood. And you know, he was in one part of that.
The story of the sitter is the most important thing to me. Sometimes it's just an idea that starts the story, but a lot of the time, most of the time when it's a sitter, a specific person, it's that the process, part of the process is learning about the sitter. Yes, the relationship between the sitter, like with that specific one with Tadashi Sato, it ended up being way more than just a portrait for me. I got so much out of it. Not even painting it. It was the days of research and spending time with him in his studio, talking to him, talking about books, talking about painting, talking about brushes, everything. That's what made that painting. It was that experience. Without that experience, that painting doesn't happen.
This self-portrait by Randy Ross won the hearts of many as the selection for the People's Choice Award in 2006. As you move closer, you will see the artist used sand and seashells to convey his love of the ocean. Our selection was a haunting mixed media piece that spoke to the conceptual idea of a person shifting personalities and moving through different stages of life versus standing still in time. Maile Andrade, Juror, 2009.
I've heard of the portrait contest. Everybody kept telling me you got to enter this. And when I got there, I think the influence was seeing a bunch of artwork that reflected Hawaii. And I thought that was super cool. I mean, it got my mind twisted, and I think I spent the better part of a year thinking about how I can incorporate that idea to where I can say what I want to say without being there. I mean, which is what paintings do, right? To take on a life of their own. The idea of simulacrum was like how do I wrap everything I want to say about myself in an apologetic way, yet unapologetic at the same time. It made me feel good about what it is I do. I mean, my passion is art, so receiving an award for something I love just felt really nice. I've gone through a lot at that point trying to express myself, and I think that was one where I kind of finally wrapped up in composition and touched, and it was, you know, it was a contest at home, so I got to say what it is I've been bottling up for so many years.
As an artist entering the show, I think you really have to feel that you're entering your strongest piece at that time, and then it's out of your hands. The artist statement can really, at times, make or break a piece. Often you look at a piece and you're not really quite sure what it is or what it represents, and often the artist statement can really bring it together.
Before I even started anything, like, I already knew who I wanted the portrait subject to be, and that was my grandma. As I expected, her first reaction was, why don't you do somebody else, like your mother? It's like, no, okay, well, like, let me re-explain this, and shared with her, like, why I wanted to depict her for the challenge, and the fact that I really wanted to honor her story and to really, like, honor her place within our family. We would just kind of sit down and talk, and I had a list of questions that I would ask her, because I realized, like, I'd never carved out the time to sit down with her and ask her, like, what is your story? Like, what was your experience growing up in Japan and immigrating to Hawaii post-war? And it was really a really valuable experience.
Initially, when we were all presented with Jonathan Clark's piece of his grandmother, I think we're all pretty awestruck, and our jaws just dropped. You know, just not only due to the technical expertise of the work, but the presentation was just incredible. The overall statement was, you know, very appropriate, and I think for us as jurors, hands down, you know, it was one of the most outstanding pieces of that year, and I believe the People's also agreed to that as well, because it also received the People's Choice Award.
It feels like such a surreal experience to have received both awards. It was really a validation of all this effort and emotion that had been really poured into this piece. This piece was by far the most personal work I had put out into the world at that point. There's always like a little bit of risk in putting that much of, you know, my family and myself too out there, and for it to resonate with the community in that way was really gratifying.
Alan Bromley's portrait of Richard impressed the jurors not only for its quiet strength, but also for its mastery in moving beyond a poignant first impression to a potent statement of human truth. Marcia Morse, Award Selection Juror, 2015.
I'm always striving to do better. Those awards are validating what I do and that I'm good enough. As an artist, you're always open to other people's opinions, whether it be the public or a juror, but when you are given the okay, it takes the weight off your shoulders and you're able to move forward and do better things because of that. And it has done that for me.
So I think as a jury, we were really looking for three things primarily. Craftsmanship, we wanted to make sure that the work was excellently made. And we were also looking for innovation and creativity, and then passion. We wanted the person to really have a connection with the subject. When the statement was personal, it really got something significant across. And when it was sort of abstract and had to do with maybe the technical issues of the artwork, perhaps that wasn't as meaningful to us as when it had a sort of more personal bent about the relationship to the subject.
For me and the other jurors, that there was a great appreciation of time expenditure. In other words, it was very evident in the works which pieces, which entries had been being developed over a significant, substantial amount of time, perhaps a year, perhaps even longer than that.
My original concept for this piece was not only to portray somebody from the islands and somebody I know, but somebody who is also an artist. And I think the best way to do that, in my opinion, is to also showcase the artist's environment as well as their possessions, so you can get an idea of what type of artist they are and what type of person you're dealing with.
Her piece was just extraordinary, and the attention to detail, little details like the reflection in the bumper on the truck just kind of blew me away. And but everything, I remember looking closely at every part of that painting and just being impressed with the handling of details, even in the surface of the concrete.
I really wanted to showcase the diversity that is Hawaii, and also something atypical that you wouldn't expect to find here, you can. And mixed with the familiarity. I think most people who see the scene, at least people from Hawaii, kind of think they know him.
It was pretty impressive that the People's Choice Award happened to be one of the main contenders for Juror's Choice. And I'll never forget the first time I saw that piece. It was by an Oahu artist, and so we were on Oahu jurying, and every one of us just sort of was struck by the power of this black and white charcoal image.
All I wanted to do was get in. I just wanted to be accepted into the exhibition, and I was perfectly fine with that. To hear that a lot of people connected to it and liked it and voted for it really warmed my heart, and I got very emotional from it. My personal story behind my piece is a pretty intimate one. I'm in this contending relationship with anxiety, depression, shame, and so the woman in this confined space, alone in the dark, with little to nothing for comfort, is how I feel sometimes.
To me, it's just, it's a drawing that illuminates itself. It's like a drawing that creates light coming from within. and kind of expressing then throughout the image. Self-portrait, self-illumination.
The jury will travel to 4 island sites in the fall of 2021. We encourage all artists statewide to take the challenge, and go to our website at mauiarts.org to find out more.
I would advise all artists, 3-dimensional, 2-dimensional, mixed media artists, experimental artists, to at least consider entering this exhibit. It's a wonderful show, and it is a challenge, and that's what's great about it.
My advice to anybody that's thinking about entering is to be bold. Don't overthink it. Just go. Yeah.
Definitely listen to the voices around you that are pushing you toward doing what it is you feel that you need to do. Not want to do, but need to do.
The advice that I wanted to give to the artists entering in the next exhibition is to gracefully push yourself beyond your boundaries. Because you never know, you might surprise yourself and create something really extraordinary.
In the title of this exhibition, the Schaefer Portrait Challenge.
If you have any interest at all in pursuing portraiture, try this out. This is, maybe you've never even done a portrait before. This would be a really good way to test yourself against the best in Hawaii. Might as well give it a try.
I see artists continuing to explore alternative methods of portraiture, reflective of the kind of state of affairs of the world, of the nation, politically, culturally, socially, economically.
It's always such a fascinating exhibit to me to walk into that room and to take a look around at all the different faces that you see, and it really becomes this snapshot of the people of Hawaii. And I think for me, entering the exhibit, I really wanted to be part of that conversation, to be in the company of artists both established and emerging who really were looking to take portraiture to the next level.
It's important for people to see who is in our community and who is important for big reasons and small reasons. I think it's all very powerful and important to show who we are, where we live.